Hello and welcome. Today I want to go ahead and explain to you guys on how to look for a load board, how to pick a load board, pretty much how to determine what load board will work best for you, and how you can adapt to this load board, and how this load board can adapt to your day in and day out of work. I also want to go ahead and explain the different load boards that are available on the market, whether they are load boards that you are paying for month to month, or load boards that are completely free. I'm going to show you how to use the different tools and softwares that each load board has. I'm going to give you an idea on how each load board has its own little different tools and softwares that that you could use in those load boards as well. And I'm also going to teach you a little bit about negotiating. I'm going to give you pretty much a very rounded, compounded, lesson pretty much about load boards, on how to find freight, how to book freight, how to use the tools on these load boards. It's going to necessarily be a very informational, knowledgeable video all about load boards. So, as you know, to become a freight dispatcher, you need to have a load board. Whether you are an individual dispatcher or you're a freight dispatching business owner, you must have what is called a load board. Why? Because a load board is probably your biggest tool or software that you will use as a freight dispatcher. And the reason for that is because without a load board, you can't find freight and you can't book freight. So it's basically like being a mechanic without any tools. You can't fix a vehicle without any tools, correct? So that's how important a load board is to a freight dispatcher. It's pretty much like your tools of work. It's definitely one of the most important things that you as a freight dispatcher, individual or business owner need. It's a huge necessity to do your job duties day in and day out. So I want to go ahead and explain about a couple different ones. Show you some that you need to pay memberships for, some that are free, and just kind of explain a little bit about each individual load board, and kind of show you how to book freight on them individually as well. So we can go ahead and start here with Trucker Path. Trucker Path, if you're not familiar with it, it's actually a free load board. In my opinion, it's a very well constructed and renovated load boards, and for free, I honestly think it's one of the best that are out there. You don't necessarily have to use this one, but I believe that it's a very well compounded and efficient and effective load board to use without having any month-to-month costs. So I'm going to go ahead here and show you how to pretty much how you can look for freight on this load board, how you use it, what different tools it has, what different softwares. So as you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and find freight. Now, to get to this page here, all you have to do is click search online, and that's all. We're going to go here. All you really have to do is have an email. You have to sign up for it. But like I said, it's completely free. As you see here, thousands of available loads, 100% free. So this here is the load board. This is how you would necessarily find freight. This is exactly where you would go ahead and put where the truck driver is at currently. That's the deadhead, pretty much the miles of the radius where he's willing to run to, whether it's up, down, left or right. So in other words, north, south, west or east, it really doesn't matter as long as it's in his deadhead. So let's say he has a 70-mile deadhead. He doesn't want to run more than 70 miles, whether it's north, south, east, or west. That's his deadhead miles that he would want to run. Destination, it's if they have a desired destination where they would want to go, then you could easily go ahead and put a destination in there. But for the most part, you want to leave this blank unless they have a request to a certain destination, because then it would give you all the loads that are populated in the place where the truck driver is currently at. The deadhead, like I said, if there is no special request, then you don't have to put that on there. You can just leave that blank. This here is the pickup date. This here is the equipment. So as you can see, we have flatbed, van, reefer, step deck, and those are different type of equipment. So in other words, trailers that you're looking for freight for that specific trailer. So here we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you what TruckerPath has to, for you guys available, what they have to offer, and how a free load board can really, generate you income without having to pay a month-to-month membership. So as you can see here, we're going to go ahead and put a destination. What we can go ahead and do is we can put, for example, Chino, California. So here, let's say the truck driver's radius is 100 miles, whether it's north, south, east, or west. He's willing to go 100 miles deadhead. So he's willing to drive 100 miles to pick up this load. Destination, there's no special request, so we're going to leave it as blank, deadhead as well. We're going to go ahead and put the date here. We'll put it for Friday the 9th. And we're going to go ahead and leave it for flatbed. Now, all you have to do here is click find loads, and it's going to populate all the loads that at the moment are available in Chino, California for November 9th. Here where it says load size, max weight, I'll show you an example. We're going to put here, you put any size. FTL means full truckload. Partial just means that it could cover half, less than half. It's just not going to be a complete truckload. So we'll leave it as FTL. Here, let's put, let's say this trailer, this truck driver is only willing to take up to 48,000 pounds. You can literally just go ahead and do that. Now, if you want to just leave that blank, you could as well. I normally just go ahead and leave it blank. Here's brokers. If you want to work with any specific broker, you're able to do that as well. Pretty cool feature to have, but usually you just leave that blank as well. And we're just going to go ahead and go through the loads here. So as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and explain here where it says age. So I'll go detail by detail and I'll explain what all these are. So age, as most of you will know, or if you don't know, this here is showing you what exactly, how long this load has been posted on this specific load board. So these have been here for 4 hours, these have been here for 6, these have been here for 1 day, these have been here for 7. So it's basically just giving you an estimate of the time that this load was posted. This here shows you the date where it says pickup, if you can see that. This here is the deadhead. Like I said, this driver's willing to go 100 miles, as you can see here. All these are under 100 miles. This here is the pickup. As you can see, this is the pickup location, the city, the state of California. Destination, as you can see here, it's going, these are in California. So it's showing you that Bakersfield in California. The trip itself from pickup to destination will be 87 miles. The length for the load, as you can see here, length will be 45 foot. The weight is 48,000 pounds. And as you can see here, it's showing you what is required. So as you can see here, F stands for flatbed, if you see it right under. Here's the name of the brokerage company that has the load available, and here is the price. Now, as you can see, some of them have prices and then some of them don't. Some of them you are required to call for them to give you the rate. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and just basically pick one of these loads and kind of explain to you and show you how you can work through this load board, how you can contact this broker and book this freight. So what we're going to go ahead and do here is we'll go ahead and pick, let's say, all right, so this one here, you see all these are in. Okay, we'll go ahead and pick this one for an example. Actually, let me see. We're going to go ahead and pick this one here. Okay, so as you can see here, as soon as I populate and I touch that, it populates everything. This one has no rate, so we will be calling the broker and figuring out what exactly is the rate for this specific load. So as you can see here, it's going from Carson, California to Madison, Kansas. So, well, you can see here it's 36 miles deadhead. As you can see right there, the distance is 1,482 miles. The load is 40,000 pounds and it's a 53 foot. So that means that the driver has to have a 53 foot trailer. You will know that because as you're dispatching this trucking company or owner operator, you will know if he has a 48 foot flatbed or a 53 foot flatbed. But for in this case, let's say that this driver has a 53 foot flatbed and he's able to take this load. As you can see here, it says equipment and accessories. It says that it needs a flatbed with tarps. If those of you that are not really familiar with what tarps are pretty much like almost like a drop down that goes from the top of the load all the way down, that covers the load from getting wet or from getting damaged, or any type of harm that can necessarily harm the freight itself. So it's pretty much like a cover. It's just a protector, you can say. Usually they come in 4 foot drop, which is 4 feet from top to bottom, 6 foot as well, 6 foot to bottom, and then 8 foot tarp, which is 8 foot drop from top to bottom is 8 feet. So those are tarps. Description and comments, usually sometimes there is some description and comments. It would say something on here. If it doesn't, you always want to go ahead and make sure to ask if there's any specific detailed information about this freight that's going to be hauled, just to kind of have an idea of what exactly this truck driver will be hauling. As you can see here where it says broker, this here is the name of the brokerage company that you will be calling to get this information about this load to see if it is still available. Here you can see is their DOT number. It pretty much just gives you some detailed information. It even gives you a little map here, as you can see, where it's kind of pretty much showing you from point A to point B how to go. If you actually click on here, you're able to go ahead and see the map larger, and you're able to see the road, so you can kind of have an idea of what roads this driver will be taking to get to this specific destination. So that's actually a really cool feature. For those of you who will learn these maps, you can kind of tell what exactly this road is just by looking at it in this little small map. And I'm going to go ahead and get into this afterwards, and I'm going to show you how to open this. And that's basically a tool that this load board actually has for you to make your job a little bit easier, and you can kind of just have an idea of where the truck driver is actually going to drive through and where exactly he's going to in Kansas. So here it says show the phone number, right? So here you can see that is the phone number to contact this dispatcher. We're going to go ahead and call this this brokerage company to be dispatched for this specific load. So what you'll do here at this certain point in time, what you want to go ahead and do is basically start to have that initial contact. You want to go ahead and call this broker and find out that detailed information about this load. So the way you would go from this point on is you would dial this number, you would give them a call, say, hi, how's it going? This is so and so. I'm actually calling about the load that you have from Carson, California to Madison, Kansas, and I wanted to see if this load is still available. If they say yes, you keep on going. If they say no, then you will move on to the next load, obviously. But let's say this broker says, yeah, I actually have this load available. It's from Carson, California to Madison, Kansas. It's actually 1,482 miles. It's the weight on it is 40,000 pounds. The length is 53 feet. And usually you hear this information, even though you know it's on here. You're still going to hear this information from the broker because he's just trying to be specific, and he's actually doing his job, and that's a good thing for them to go ahead and just kind of rephrase this to you because maybe, what if this is actually 47,000 pounds and they just made a mistake and they put 40. So it's good to know this information. It's good for you to ask as well. He told you it's a flatbed with tarps. That's when, if he doesn't mention what tarps, that's when you go ahead and what size tarps does it need? 6 foot tarp. you will know the trucks that you're dispatching. You're gonna start to realize as you start working with them what tarps they have, what tarps they don't have, what equipment they have on their truck that's needed for specific loads. So if you know this truck driver does have, you know, a 4, 6, and an 8-foot drop, and it covers the whole entire trailer, then that's perfectly fine. You know that you can grab this load. So what you're gonna go ahead and do here is you're gonna get all this information. You can ask them for their MC, so you can check their their company as well. Make sure that they're validated, and they're still authorized for brokering. And what you're gonna go ahead and do from this step on is you're gonna want to go ahead and get a very important thing, which is the price. Because as you can see here, this does not have a price, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you know, it's going to be more or it's going to be less. You just have to call and see what exactly the rate of this freight that's going to be hauled is going to be getting paid. So what you want to go ahead and do here is you always want to go ahead and have a calculator. And the reason why you want to have a calculator is because this is how you're going to generate and calculate to see if this load is paying the right amount of money for the trucking company or the trucking individual, the owner operator, to take. The reason for that is because specifically some truck companies don't want to run you know, at certain seasons or certain times out of the year for no less than like $1.70, $1.80 a mile. So this is how you would generate the rate per mile, and I'm going to show you exactly how you do this. So let's say we're getting into all the details. Perfect. Alrighty. And what is the rate that you have this that you have on this load? So let's say they ask you, you know, what do you have in mind? That's when you kind of have to get into what is called negotiation, right? So if you know that you have a certain, let's say this truck driver won't take any load for less than $1.75 a mile, what you're going to want to go ahead and do is you're going to try to get as close as you can to that $1.75 a mile or more. So what we'll do here is we'll put 2,200, right, which is a rate, and then we're going to go ahead and divide it by the miles. Where are the miles? Right here. So we're going to divide this by 1482. This is paying $148 a mile. So this is just an example. I know this is way off from the 175, but I'm giving you an example of how you get the rate per mile. So now that we did that, we know that's not enough. So we're going to go ahead and do about 3,200. Divide that by the miles. Remember, 3,200 is the rate. So that's the price that you're looking for this broker to pay for you guys to haul this rate. So we're going to put 3,200 divided by 1482 comes up to $215 a mile. So this is when you start to negotiate. $215, it's a decent price, you know. Usually truck companies or truck drivers are very happy with anything $2 and up a mile. So you can go ahead and shoot for this. If you know that this driver tells you, okay, I don't want to take anything for less than $1.75 a mile at the moment, then you can go ahead and try to get this for $215. Now, what you're going to go ahead and do is here, you know what this is paying per mile. You're going to go ahead and try to negotiate. Perfect. Obviously, you have to do this at a very fast pace when you have them on the phone. You can say, give me a second, let me see exactly what my driver is willing to take this load for. You could put them on a very quick, you know, 20, 30-second hold and just kind of do the math on your own. Or you can do it as you're speaking to them. As you start to, you know, get a, you know, a feel of dispatching, you'll be able to do this as you're on the phone with the broker himself. Or you can actually do this before you even get into negotiation. If you know there's no price, already have something in mind, so that way you don't have to do it while you're speaking to them. So we're going to go ahead and say, okay, so my driver is actually asking if you guys are willing to pay $3,200 for this load. Now the way this goes, it's either going to be a yes or a no, or a let me see what I can do. And usually the way this goes is if they have you know, a firm price on it, and they can't give anything more than that, and they know that this is over, they're going to go ahead and explain to you that they can, and they'll give you the most that they can pretty much offer you. Now, let's say this broker goes ahead and says, well, I can't do 3,200, but give me 1 second and let me see how much I can get this load for you to haul. So let's say he comes back to you and he tells you, okay, the most I can do for this one is 2,900, right? So we're gonna do 2,900. We're gonna divide that by 1482. Like I said, the rate, what they're paying you for the haul of the freight, it's $2,900. You're gonna divide that by 1482, which is the miles, is gonna come up to 195. Now, if you're able to push them up a little bit more, if you say, oh, you know, you can't just do the 3,000. If they can't, then they can't. But you already went ahead and generated, you know, a couple more cents for the rate per mile than what the driver wanted. He said he was willing to take anything for $1.75 a mile, and you got him something for $1.95 a mile. So you're actually, that means you're doing your job correctly. So let's say you go ahead and, you know, you agree. Okay, you know what? That sounds good. Let's go ahead and do, you know, that rate for this haul. Now, I'm going to go ahead and explain something from here. If this is the first time that you are getting a load with this specific broker, and I'm not talking about with every broker, I'm talking about with this specific brokerage company. If this is your first load that you're ever going to haul for them, you are going to sign what is the carrier and broker agreement. Now, the carrier and broker agreement is usually just paperwork that they send over to you that you have to fill out so they can have over in your data, in their database about your company, the company that you're dispatching. Now, the reason for that is that's just to get like they usually want like your W-9, they want like your authority. They just want to make sure that this truck company that's going to haul the freight for them is authorized technically. You know, it's not a company that's, you know, shut down by you know, the Department of Transportation or something like that. They want to make sure that everything is that company is complying with the laws and rules to be able to be active, and for their authority to be active as well. So that only happens for the first freight that you generally take for them. That's always going to happen. It's technically a process of something that's on repeat, and it will always be that way because they have to have your information and you have to have their information as well. So from here, once you go ahead and sign that carrier and broker agreement, your next step is to receive a rate con. A rate con is pretty much the paper explaining to you what exactly, where the load is, where the load will be picked up, where the load is at the moment, where it's going to be dropped off, all the information. It'll say it's you need a flatbed with tarp, 6 foot. It needs to be picked up between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. It needs to be dropped off between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. It needs to be picked up November 9th, and this needs to be dropped off, let's say November 12th, as a example. So it'll pretty much give all the information, contact information, numbers, anything that has to do with the load will be on there. Now, the next process is for you to sign the rate con and send it back. And this is typically all done via email now, through PDF file, or there's different softwares that brokers use that they send over from one email to another. Usually, you know, no one's really faxing anymore, and sending one fax paperwork from one fax to another fax, and then you have to send it back. It's just too much, you know, time consuming. And everyone usually does this at a more virtual thing where everyone just does it from the comfort of their computer, and they just send everything PDF file. You sign it, you fill it, send it back to them. That's it. So that is pretty much how you will book a load. That's exactly how you will go ahead and technically find freight, look through all the information, get all the detail about it, give them a call. After you give them a call, if the load is available and the truck driver is willing to take this load and you negotiate it to the right price, then you can go ahead and book the load. If it's the first time that you're going to go ahead and book a load with this brokerage company, then you know that you have to fill out your carrier and broker agreement. They will send you the rate con after that. You will sign the rate con. Remember, the rate con is just one paper pretty much stating all the information about the freight that this truck driver will be hauling for this brokerage company. So you have signed that and send it back, and you have booked your load. You will send that rate con over to your driver, or the information that's on the rate con to your driver, so he can pick it up, give him all the information, explain to him the needed equipment that will be needed for this load, and so on. And that is exactly how you book a load. Now, as you can see, I was going to go back to this here, and I'm just going to show you a little tool about this, and just kind of show you, something different that this load board has to offer. So as you can see here, you can kind of just click on there. You can kind of zoom in. It'll kind of show you, like I said, you can kind of have an idea of the route that this driver will be taking as far as like the road on the map. As you can see here, he would start from here. He would go through there. He would transition to 210. From 210, it looks like he would go up to 15. From 15, he'll transition to 40. Go all the way through. All the way through, all the way through. It looks like he's going to take 40 the majority of the time. And this is really important because, there's a lot of truck drivers that sometimes just want to run through certain roads because those are the roads that they feel comfortable with. They know those lanes. They feel, at ease driving these lanes. And it's important to kind of know where exactly they have to go by, because if you know that they're going to go through a lane, a highway that they're not usually used to, or they don't really like to, then you kind of have an idea, and you'll kind of learn to develop that map knowledge as you dispatch, because it really isn't that hard. Usually these trucks run through the same lane for the most part, and usually everything's by highway. As you can see here, it looks like from 40 it goes on to 54. And then from 54, it looks like there's just going to be a straight shot all the way to the exit to get over to the destination. And now you have an idea where this next, where exactly this truck driver will be next. So now you can start finding freight for the next load available for him to go ahead and get him booked for his next trip. So as you can see there, that's a cool little tool it has. Something simple, but really nice to have if you really want to be specific and kind of see which lanes and what highways this driver will be going through, and then you will have an idea if this driver wants to go through there or not. So it's just one of those little cool features that this actually has to offer. Now, like I said, this is Trucker Path. This is a free load board. All you really have to have is I guess you can say a login. You want to go ahead and sign up with them with an email. So it's free, completely free. It's a very well established load board, in my opinion. It's very well renovated. And for a free load board, it has a lot to offer. And this is basically one of those ways where how you can make money without spending it. And it's a very good load board. You can give it a try. If it fits your company needs and you can adapt to it, then why not? It's definitely a load board that you can just have on the side to go ahead and use, even if you have another load board that you're paying a membership for. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to exit out of this one, out of Trucker Path, and we're going to move on to the next one. Like I said, this video will be just showing you the different type of load boards, the different tools that these load boards have, and just showing you that there's thousands of load boards out there that you can use, but I'm sharing the most, in my opinion, the most effective and efficient and renovated ones. We're going to go ahead and exit out of this, and now we're going to move over to truckstop.com. For those of you that know a little bit about the transportation industry, you will know that Truckstop is one of those very well established load boards, and it's actually a very well known load board out in the transportation business because there's a lot of companies that use this actually. So as you can see here, this one here is actually one that you have to pay a membership for, and I can kind of just show you like the different pricings that they have at the moment. as you can see here, we will go down, and they have a basic plan. As you can see there, they have an advanced, they have a pro. As you know, the pro is the one that comes with all inclusive. It comes with everything, and this is a subscription that you pay month to month. As you can see here, every month. It'll show you the different services that each individual load board has. The basic, the advanced, and the pro. This really comes down to you as a freight dispatcher or a freight dispatching business owner, what load board you want to use. Some people work off of completely basic. Some people work out of advanced. Some people just go all in and go for the most expensive one. You could always just start basic, and you can move on from basic and go up. It really just comes down to you as an individual to see what's going to fit you best, and it's just one of those decisions that you have to make. But you could always start from here and just move up. You can always just try it out just to see if it's something that you can adapt to. Now, what we're going to go ahead and do here is we're going to go ahead and log on. I'm going to show you a little bit about truckstop.com and show you the different tools and show you what a load board that you have to pay a membership for actually has, and how it's a little bit different from the free one that I just showed you that was Trucker Path. So as you can see here, very, very similar presentation to what Trucker Path was. Nothing really too different, to be honest with you. It's almost, all these load boards are kind of almost the same. They just have like different things to themselves, because obviously there's just no way that could be exactly intact the same way. So as you can see here, we're going to go ahead and click on Maps. Once you click on Maps, you're going to be able to start to see what exactly where you want to look for loads at, where you need to go. And like I said, this is pretty much the same exact way that you just went ahead and used on the other platform, on the other load board, but it's just kind of in a different spot. So as you can see here, we're going to go ahead and put, let's say San Jose, right? We'll put San Jose, California. The radius, like I said, is the deadhead. Down here, we'll leave it at 100 miles. Here, we'll leave it blank. What we'll do is, this one here, you have to push it all the way up to 300 miles. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're only going to find loads from San Jose that are only going 300 miles. This just means that it's going to pretty much open up the whole entire map for you and give you all the loads that are available in the area of San Jose in 100 miles of radius, whether it's north, south, west, or east. And what we'll do here is we're going to go ahead and the date's already on the 9th. As you can see here, you can pretty much change this here. This is the equipment, different type of equipment. We'll go ahead and do flatbed again on this one, and we're going to go ahead and click search. Now once we click search, you're going to see that it's going to populate. You're going to see that this map right here, this is going to change. It's going to show you all the loads now in California and which way they're going. So at the moment, as you can see here on this little map, these are the loads that are available in that area of San Jose, California, and a 100-mile radius. So what we'll do is we're going to go down here, and it's kind of, like I said, very similar to how the other load board was presenting things to you, but obviously it's a little bit different. But as you can see, the concept of finding freight, looking for freight, is almost the same. It's just in different places. So here, where it says 10, it's just going to show you the 10 loads. The presentation of 10 loads. You can move it to 20. You can move it to 50. You can move it to 100, etc. You can pretty much get the whole thing, right? So these are the loads available at the moment. There are in San Jose, California, that are being available to be picked up on Friday, November 9th. What we're going to go ahead and do here is we're going to go ahead and just kind of go through this as well. As you can see, it's very similar to the platform that the other load board had. This one here actually has a little bit more detail. It tells you the average rate for freight at the moment in that area is $879. It'll show you as well as the company name of that brokerage company that has this load available, their phone number, the trailer, how long it's been on there. As you can see, it says age right there. The mode, like I said, the partial load, the truck load. It's basically very similar to the other one. It shows you the pickup for the freight, the date. It shows you where it's actually at. This here where it says destination distance is the distance between San Jose, California, where that truck driver is originally at, to where this next city is at. So it shows you 30 deadhead miles, 78, 58, 39. As you can see, they are all under 100 miles. So that's pretty much how you go ahead and establish that deadhead stuff. It'll show you here. It shows you here the destination city where this load would be going. So point A to point B. You don't have a radius on this one because we didn't really put one. Here's the rate. As you can see, the rate is what they're paying for this load. And as you can see, as in the other load board, it shows on some of them it has the rate, on some of them it doesn't. And now, really cool feature, like I said, that this one has that the other one didn't have was this RPM. What is that? That means rate per mile. So now you can avoid this right here, the calculator. I mean, you could always go ahead and open it up and have it open, obviously, because when there is no rate on it, you have to figure out the rate for it. But for this one, as you can see here, it's already calculating the rate per mile for you. So it's avoiding you from using that calculator, just saving you a little bit of time. That's one of the different tools or softwares you can say that this load board has different from the other one. It shows you the length of the load, the weight, D2, and then P. That stands for days to pay. That's usually what these brokers take to pay. And usually, for the most part, everyone's under 30 days. As you can see, only one of them's over 30 days. Usually, brokers are paying in between 30 days and under. That's usually to have a very good credibility, I guess you can say, for themselves and their company. Here, as you can see that the other load board didn't have, it says fuel. So it actually gives you an estimated cost of what they believe that from the pickup to the destination, how much fuel you would actually use for that load for the truck driver, so you can have an estimate and you can actually go ahead and present that to him and tell him, hey, yeah, this load's actually good, it's paying this much, and it's actually only going to cost you $495. That's the estimate for that, and it'll show you the miles. Now, as you can see, from that load board to this load board, we have already found two different things. We've found the rate per mile, and we found the fuel, and we've actually found the days to pay. So, like I said, most of these load boards are very similar as far as finding freight and, being able to contact and do all that stuff to get this freight. But obviously, they have things that are a little bit different on behalf of themselves. And, especially when you're paying for a membership for a load board, in my opinion, I believe it should be better or more efficient and effective than one that's completely free, because you're obviously paying. It should be better. It should have something different. And this one actually does have something different, whether you, see the value of it or not. I see it as a very good thing to have that rate per mile. It shows you the days to pay. It shows you the fuel that they estimate that this load, will take. It would take that truck driver to get from point A to point B. So it's pretty cool. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and click on the load and show you guys. It'll open up all the details. So as you can see here, we're going to go ahead and click on this one here, right? And once you go ahead and click on it, it's going to populate, and it's going to open up another tab so you can see all the details on this load. So we'll click on it. As you can see there, it's loading. And now you are on this specific load that you just clicked on. And if you want to get back to the load board itself, click right back. And as you can see, now we can't get confused, because once you click on a load, it actually populates and it turns red. Cool little thing that it has, that way you don't get confused. You don't click on the same load if you're kind of, maybe you have 2-3 trucks in that same area. And you're kind of just going through all these loads. Now you know that you clicked on that load. Now we'll go on to the next tab. And this here will give you all that detailed information about the load. It'll show you a bunch of different things, and we're going to go ahead and just give you a little walkthrough. So as you can see here, almost very similar to what the other load board was. As you can see here, it has the name of the company, correct? Sorry about that. The name of the company here for the brokerage. It has here, some contact information, their email, their number, their fax. It shows you where their headquarters are at, their MC, their carrier MC, their USDOT number. And to check their email, it's very simple. Click on that. And now we have a email. Very easy, copy, paste if you want to send an email. Nothing out of this world. Now, as you can see here, it says load details right there, right? So as you can see, it'll still show you the age of the load. It shows you the rate. It shows you the miles. It shows you point A where it's going to be picked up, point B where it will be dropped off. Kind of a cool little thing as well. Here it shows you that at pickup it's actually 55 degrees. At drop off at the moment it's 43 degrees. And that's a very, it's kind of unique. It's kind of cool. It's one of those things, like I said, because you are paying for a load board membership. It's just one of those things that they add on there. It's just like a little extra bonus. So it's a cool little detailed, I guess, tool that they use on their load board. It shows you here the load details, the pickup date. It says 11/9/2018. The quantity is 1, so that means that it's just one specific load. Maybe it's like one, big piece of steel or whatever. Here it shows you the equipment type, so it either needs like I said, flatbed, which is F, and SD stands for step deck, which is similar to a flatbed but just a little bit lower to the ground. The commodity, it says blank, so we don't know exactly what it is, but that's what we call for. Equipment options, the mode is TL, which is a truckload. It shows you that it's 45,000 pounds. If there was any pallet, it'll tell you the length. It doesn't say anything, but you can always go ahead and call and they will explain this to you. The height, the width, if it has any additional stops, and the distance. Now, as you can see here, special information. We have greased steel coils, need coil racks, and tarp on coils. Loads 5 a.m. to 12 p.m. noon. So now we know that these are greased steel coils, and you need a coil rack. You need to make sure that your driver has a coil rack. If you know that the driver that you're dispatching for doesn't have a coil rack, there is no point on calling this load because you're technically wasting your time. If you're going to call and you know that he doesn't have this, it's just a waste of time. So you want to always know what type of tools and equipment your driver has to know if you're able to call this load or not. Now let's say that he does have coil racks and you know that he has tarps. We're going to go ahead and call this load, right? And it's very similar, same exact way as every other load that you will book. You're going to call, numbers right here. For the most part, it looks like Martin will be the one picking up. If it's not him, it doesn't necessarily matter. You just need to get the load information and see if it's available. You would call, hi, my name is so-and-so, I'm calling from so-and-so. I want to see if you still have that load available from Pittsburgh, California to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Yes, we do have that load available. They don't, exit it, move on to the next load. Very simple. If they do, perfect. Alrighty. We're interested in taking this load. Can I have any more detailed information, or is all the information that's on the actual load board, is that everything I need to know? For the most part, like I said, brokers usually go through the whole entire details all over again, and it's important for you to actually go through the details as well and ask. Even though you see that it's on here, you want to go ahead and make sure to kind of, just to have that benefit of the doubt. Because sometimes there could be errors. This could actually be like 48,000 pounds and maybe the driver can't take more than 47,000. So you want to be able to, you want to make sure to ask those questions. Let's say, yeah, everything on the post is the same thing. It's 45,000 pounds. It's a truckload. It needs to be picked up today, or sorry, the 9th. It's greased steel coils. You need a coil racks and it needs tarps. Perfect. And what size tarps does it need? It needs a 4 foot tarp. Perfect. All right. So if you know that the driver has these tarps, then you're able to go ahead and grab this load at ease without any, complications, without any problems. So it loads from 5 a.m. to 12 p.m. and you have to drop this off on November 12th. For example, that would be, I believe, on the next following Monday, right? So very simple. Okay, perfect. We're gonna go ahead and touch back into that same procedure that I was explaining to you. If this is your first load with this specific, like I said, with this specific broker, you have to do a carrier and broker agreement. So let's say this is your first load with them. You want to go ahead and get that broker and carrier agreement. They're going to go ahead and basically get all your information. They're going to send you their carrier and broker agreement through email. You're going to fill that all out. You're going to send it back. When they get everything that they need from your end, what they'll do is they'll accept it, and then they're going to send you the rate con. Remember, the rate con is pretty much it'll have all the like load information on there. It'll show you the date, the weight, pretty much everything that has to do with the load itself. I'm actually going to go ahead and just give you a little quick example of what a rate con looks like, and just kind of give you an idea. Let me see. Yeah, I did that totally wrong. I'll do that. So rate con would technically be a, let me see, not sure why it's not populating. We'll do rate confirmation. Okay, so rate con confirmation would basically, we'll go ahead and see. That's way too small. Let me see if I can find something a little bit more expanded. We'll go ahead and, this one looks like it's a little bit bigger. Okay, so this here is a rate and load confirmation. This is the rate con. So as you can see here, it'll give you like their company information, the load number for that load, that specific load that you will be picking up. It says this is page 1 out of 2, so that means there's a second page. It shows you the date of the load, when the load will, of the day. It'll show you the ship date. It'll show you the dispatcher, email, all that information there. It'll show you, for the most part, they usually have like, they ask you for the driver's information of the driver that will be picking that up. As you can see here, it has that information there, the equipment, 48-foot reefer, the truck number, trailer number, load status open. Here, shipper 1, it pretty much shows you where exactly this load will be picked up. It shows you the address, shows you the ship date, shows you the information, the pickup number, description, major, all that good stuff. Down here, it shows you where it will be dropped off, pretty much giving you all that information, the date, pickup number, description, all that information. And as you can see here, this is page 1 out of page 2. So on page 2, I'm more than sure it has the rate, which it would show you like the price that they're paying for the load, and where you have to sign and send it back to them. So this is exactly what a rate con actually looks like. Let me see this one here. If this one has a rate, as you can see here, total due, the flat, it's actually 2200, and all rate cons are a little bit different, but as you can see, they're kind of very similar. It just shows you the shipper and the receiver, the destination, same contact information. It pretty much just like, it's almost like load boards. You know, it's just it's a paper with different information and different layouts. That's really all it is. You sign it, send it back, and you move forward with the load. It's actually very simple, very easy. So that is exactly how you would go on and book a load, get that you know, valuable information as far as the carrier and broker agreement you have to fill out, send it over to them. That's a couple more papers. That's why I didn't necessarily give you an example for it. But I will in future videos show you how to fill out the carrier and broker agreement. Very simple. The moment you do it 2 to 3 times, it's actually something that almost becomes like immune to you, and that you're able to actually just go by with a blink of an eye, to be honest with you. The rate con I had, I gave you an idea what they look like. That's actually all the information of the load, and you have to provide that over to the driver as well with the addresses and the rates if they're owner operators, and you'll kind of have to you'll figure out exactly how you would do that with that truck driver or truck company individually, because they all have their different ways and methods to get that over to the driver. And like I said, everything's very similar as far as being able to book a load and call for the load. And we're going to go ahead and just kind of go over. As you can see, this one has a lot more of those tools that I was explaining. You're paying for a membership, so it obviously has to have a little bit more things on it because you are paying for that membership. As you can see here, it shows you technically like the load distance, the estimated fuel cost. It says that the estimates you're gonna per mile that you're gonna waste is 55 cents. Here's the rate mate, which is showing you like the days this broker is usually paying and stuff like that. Here it shows you typically you see it shows you like the average pay rate in the area. It's showing you the average pay rate in New Mexico, what they're paying at the moment from that area. And like I said, it's just an estimate, just an average. And some people look at this stuff, some people don't. But there's a lot of people that appreciate those little extra tools and tips that are on here as well. It shows you the credit stop, pretty much showing you that this brokerage company takes 23 days to pay usually. They're diamond broker bonds, so they have the right bond on them. And it even shows you best paying loads on the side to kind of give you a detailed information of the best loads. And that doesn't necessarily mean by the rate per mile, it just means by the price itself. So it's just, it has different things. As you can see, I showed you a couple different things that this load board has that the other load board didn't have. It comes down to you as an individual to see what exactly will work for you and what is the best load board that you can adapt to. In my opinion, I believe that whatever load board that you're going to use, you should adapt to and that you should learn, and you should be able to navigate through this load board at ease. Regardless of which load board you use, I believe that it has to be something that's completely finished, that's renovated, and that's able to work fast. You don't want to get stuck on a load board that takes too long to populate things, that takes too long to find the freight on it, or it's always loading, because in the transportation industry, you have to be moving at a very smooth pace, sometimes at a fast pace, to be able to get your trucks loaded that you're dispatching. And you always just want to be on a load board that's completely renovated and finished. Now, we're going to go ahead and move out of truck stop. Just wanted to show you the difference between that one, that trucker path, and then truck stop. Just kind of show you that the layouts for all these load boards are very similar. Obviously, some things are a little bit different because some load boards have a little bit more to offer than others. But the format and the platform of what your job duties look like are the same regardless of what load board you use. You still have to find the freight. You have to call the freight, look at all their information of the freight that needs to be hauled, and you need to book it. And it's always going to be the same way no matter what load board you're using. The process is very similar. Only thing that changes is obviously the platform and the format of the load board itself. So we're going to go ahead and get out of this here, and we're actually going to go ahead and just move over to that. So that is just going to be a little quick overview about this. That is actually one of those load boards. It's actually very well known. It's actually a load board that a lot of companies actually use. And in my opinion, it's a very good load board. It's one of those load boards that have been around for years and years. It's very well established and very well recognized. As you can see here, since 1978, so they've been around for quite a while now. So if they've been around for that long, they must be good, right? So it's definitely, like I said, it's one of those load boards very similar to everything. As far as finding freight, the platforms are the same way. There's really no difference to it. There's a couple things that change on the load board itself. This one might have some different tools that truck stop doesn't have, or softwares. They all have their own individual, as you can say, I guess, little details to them as far as loader boards themselves, but they all do the same thing, which is find freight, give you the information of the brokerage firm, the freight, all that stuff, and the option for you to call. So I just wanted to go ahead and share that with you guys as well, because DAT is a very well-known load board as well. And like I said, it just comes down to you as an individual, and you don't necessarily have to use any of these three. To be honest with you, you can use whatever load board you want to go ahead and use. I'll give you an example. We'll go ahead and just put truck load board on here, and you'll see that you see DAT popped up. There's one called JB Hunt. I kind of just opened it up just to show you. There are hundreds and thousands of load boards available that are, you know, just available for you to be able to find freight. You see, that's one. We'll go ahead and go back from this one, and I'll just kind of log on to another one. So you see, this one's actually taken a little bit here, so I don't know if it's that well established. We have this one here. It says 123 load board. It says load board to find available freight. So you can see there is just a bunch of different load boards that you can necessarily use. And like I said, you will adapt to one, you will find one. The most important thing is, like I said at the beginning of the video, is you want to pick a load board. It doesn't necessarily only have to be one. You could work off of 3, you could work off of 4. That just comes down to you as an individual. I wanted to show you the difference between a couple load boards, just kind of show you that each load board has their own individual things that they have specifically to them, but for the most part they all do the same thing as far as finding freight and being able to get all that information and contacting the broker for this freight as well. I just wanted to go ahead and show you how to use different type of tools and methods and softwares. As you saw, I showed you on one. One has a map on it. You can kind of zoom in, look through it. Truckstop has the whole rate per mile, days to pay, just different little tools that that other load board had. And you know, I showed you a little bit about negotiation as well, explaining to you how you can use your calculator, how if you know that a truck driver wants a specific you know, rate per mile, how you can establish that, or there's no rate on there, and how you can see what rate you have to ask for to get that load for that specific rate per mile that that driver wants. Other than that, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully this video had a lot of valuable information to you as far as load boards. I want to go ahead and thank you one more time for giving me the time and for just you know, sticking with me through the end of this video and showing you these load boards. And I know that's something that I went ahead and you know, provided you with here will help you with your dispatching career or with your dispatching business. And hopefully, you know, if this is something new to you guys and this is something that you guys are kind of just having an interest on, and you're kind of just doing your own research to it, please feel free to give us a call at American Logistics Academy. I'll go ahead and leave all the detailed information for this for our training, for our dispatching training as well. And you know, give us a call. We'll go ahead and give you guys some valuable information. But other than that, thank you again for sticking around and watching this video. And hopefully I can you know, see you guys dispatching in the very near future. Thank you.